Hello guys and welcome back to the Disrupt Project. We are on episode 12. We just worked out. So woo.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. So yeah, we have a little, I was about to say solo episode, but we're together so it's not really solo. Just us today. Just us today. Stuck with us today. So we're going to dive into having a little chat about if you're feeling kind of in a rut and getting yourself out of a rut, and just going, I guess, talking about what we've done in the past, where we started, and how that kind of looks different for us now. And I say rut in quotation marks because I guess we don't really classify it as ruts as these days.
Just an off season.
It's an off season. But yeah, we'll do a little check-in first. How are you?
I'm really good.
What's been happening?
Feels like, do you know when it's like, I feel like I've been doing so much, but then you look back and you're like, what have I done?
Yeah.
It's kind of that thing. I think I've just been stuck in like the work study cycle at the moment, which has been really good.
Yes. Yeah.
The breath work is coming along really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I facilitate for the first time this week.
Woo.
Tomorrow. So yeah. And then I've put the message out there already to start taking on some clients and just, to be able to tick off my training and get that certificate. So that's really exciting.
Very exciting.
I put off that message for 6 weeks, putting it out there, and I was like, fuck, like, what am I waiting for? Like, I got to do it. Like, I've got to start somewhere. So I put that out last night, had a really good response to that. So yeah, things are looking really good for it.
What was the resistance, do you think, with putting it out there? Just something new that you're doing? And
yeah, I think something new, and it's like that thing, and it's like I'm not perfect at it. Like, obviously I haven't even facilitated yet, so it's like, what if I suck?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just, I just had this thing and I was like, oh, I'm not facilitating yet, so I won't put the message out. And it's like, oh, I could have actually like had them pre-booked. But I mean, I've had a really good response. So like I've got nothing to worry about.
It's unreal, hey, when you can sit on stuff. And I was the same with like coaching and putting like just the offers out there, and just even, I guess, like saying the words that this is what you're doing, and like this is, like who you are and what you're moving into. And it's just like, because it's something new, it can feel, you kind of have that initial like self-doubt piece of, I know I did anyway, it was just like, do I know enough? Like all those kind of beliefs sneak back in you, just like, instead of sitting on it, I can just put it out there, and then it's just like, then you get a response like that, and you're just like, this is cool. Why didn't I do this weeks ago?
And like, it's not like I'm going in being like, I know everything. Like, you're going to have the most transformational like experience ever. Like, you're going to be cured. Like, I literally put it out there as is. I'm training. This is it. It'll be free for the moment.
And everyone starts at that point.
Exactly.
Like, no one starts out and is absolutely knows everything about what they're doing. Everyone's a beginner at some stage. So it's like we can get so caught up, I think, it was just like thinking you have to know and you have to be an expert in this. It's just like everyone's starting somewhere, like when they begin their journey. So
and Tim's really good. He's like, guys, like, I don't expect you to be like on the level I am. Like, he's like, you're training, just get the reps in. He's like, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be moments that you don't know what to do, but he's like, most of the time the client's not even going to realize that. Yeah, 100%. You're just going to look back and be like, oh, I could have done this in this spot, or like I could have helped them through this a little bit better. But they could be sitting there going, wow, this is like insane.
Yeah, like, and the confidence and the belief comes from the doing as well. So the more you do, the more that comes, and you you adapt to what feels right, and tweak what you need to.
What I need to. But I think once I get the first one done tomorrow, I think that it's just the first one that I'm going to be like.
Yeah. It was even the same with our events, hey. With our events, we're just like, holy shit.
And the sweats we had before.
Started with the podcast, the first episode. But it's just
always like,
first time's always the worst. Rip the Band-Aid off, and then then we're good to go after that. So.
I think it was good for me because we had a call last night, and there was a couple of people being like, oh, I've already done like 3 or 4 sessions. I was like, fuck, I haven't organised any. I got to get on this.
That's exciting though.
It's been good. Yeah. It's probably been my little recap. How have you been?
Been good. Kind of navigating a new season of Pete and I living together, and just kind of adapting to how that looks for both of us, which is super exciting. While very much navigating our own things that come up and our own journeys, but supporting each other in that. So that's really exciting.
Have you noticed a big difference between sort of like officially moving in? Because you kind of have been living together for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of naturally just happened, and then we're just like, what are we doing here? I think we kind of like solidified like a little bit ago now, but like that's what the plan was going to be, and then just more making it into a space that like I obviously want to make, because it's been my house, so it's just like I want to make sure it's comfortable for him and he feels at home there too as much as he can, and just I guess like changing little things so it feels comfortable for both of us, and it's just I don't know, it's just really nice, I think. And it's so strange because like I think when it's so different, I think when you're younger and you're growing up and you just like, you kind of have like, I guess, timelines and stuff in your head of like, oh no, it's only been this long, or you got to wait this. Yeah, like all this weird shit. And it's just like, just being able to go, like, I think being so sure in like what you want, like what this is with us. And it's just like everything just evolves naturally and feels right as it should. And then we've just continued to lean into that. So it's just like, there's no time, there's no expectations on when or what we should do anything. Like it's just us having the open communication around what feels right within that, and
happens as it naturally evolves.
It does. So that's exciting, and then it's kind of just navigating coaching in between, and
some clients.
Picking up some clients, which has been so amazing. I was kind of feeling just, I think because it's been just winter and I just was kind of in this like just working like little hermit mode for a little bit. I was kind of getting to the point where I was like feeling a bit stuck in my environment because I work at home, and I think just because I've been at home so much, and like the house isn't huge, so as you know, it's like quite small, so it was like when you work there, live there, and you kind of spend most of your time like in this one confined space, I was like I go out to like cafes and get out and change it up a little bit, but definitely I was noticing like needing longer periods of time in like a new space just to kind of reignite that motivation and like new creative energy, because changing your environment can do so much for just, I guess, like getting in those real little like creative work modes. So that's kind of been like an intention this week, is to get out into new spaces and help reignite that a little bit instead of kind of just being like in the same space. So
and especially when you work from home as well, like that's another thing, like it's hard to separate the home life and work life sometimes.
And so you just kind of get caught in that, so it's just changing that up a little bit, which is good. It kind of got to the point where I was just like, it's time, I need to mix it up get out of here, and just because it's like all open as well, it's not like a single room I have for like an office, so it's just like everything's one. Like, it's good and it's convenient and it works like a lot of the time, but sometimes it's just nice segregating the two. So but apart from that, it's kind of just been the same a little bit the same. It's just like lots has been happening, but it's just been a little bit of the same.
You've had something exciting pop up, Bali.
Oh yeah, I'm like, what?
You want to touch on that?
Yes. So that's a very good point. I'm glad you remembered that.
I was like, I'm going to bring it up today.
So beautiful Ash from Groove Pilates has decided she's going to have another retreat in Bali in April. So it's very much Pilates, yoga, like mindfulness connection retreat. And then she asked if I wanted to, hold like a workshop within that as well. So anyone who would like to come to Bali in April, you can buy your tickets.
What are the dates?
The date, I actually can't remember off the top of my head. It's the start of April. Start of April for five nights. So it's very exciting. I was very grateful that she asked me to jump on board. So
I was so excited for you when I saw it. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just happened in between everything. And then I was like, oh yes, I'm like got to share this. And then I was like, I haven't really told anyone. We just
I know, I saw you
caught up, had the chat.
I was like, surely you knew about this.
She just like, she messaged me and then we caught up and then she was like, okay, cool. And I was like, awesome, love to be a part of this. So
do people reach out to you? Or
they definitely can, but everything's Ash has got everything set up on her page. So I can link that in the show notes. We can do that. So everything's purchased through, and you can pay a deposit on Ash's website. Cool. But for sure, if you've got any questions, holler. That'll be very cool to be a part of. So excited for that.
Little Bali retreat. Who doesn't love
Bali retreat? I know, which I was like, well, say less Bali, yeah.
You didn't even have to ask. Just tell me when.
Yeah, I know. I'll just be there. So that's exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we'll dive into probably a topic of today. I think we'll touch on our mental health as like an umbrella, but more specifically probably touch a little bit on our journeys, what our coping mechanisms and strategies used to be versus what they are now, and then wherever that sort of unfolds into, we'll just go from there.
Just from that, yeah. Yeah.
Kick it off.
So I guess coping mechanisms. Start there. I guess we were having a little bit of chat before we got into this today, and I guess I kind of had this conversation with a few people lately, and you're kind of saying you've noticed it come up for people as well, and it's like things can feel really overwhelming at times, and which we've talked about before on other podcasts as well, especially when you're starting out in like your self-development journey, or you're kind of starting to notice not being able to, I guess, regulate your nervous system or regulate your emotions, and you kind of get to that point where you're just like, I don't know how I should be feeling. Surely I can be feeling better than this. And I guess you can start to notice like patterns or like coping mechanisms that come in. So definitely what that used to look like for me was it varied, I guess, with habits, and a lot of it was throwing myself like into work, like just stupid hours and unhealthy kind of ways of coping with it. Went through periods definitely leaning into like socializing, going out and that sort of thing, which we've touched on a little bit as well. That kind of went through ebbs and flows as well. It wasn't kind of all the time. It was just one of those things where I'm just like, this is fun, so I'm just going to forget everything else.
And you might go for like a couple months at a time.
And I'm just like, this actually doesn't feel that great. But I'm like, but this is fun, so let's go do it again. It was definitely like overworking, socializing, going out, drinking a whole lot. And really, like, for me, it was shutting down a lot of emotions. So anything I could do to kind of numb or suppress that was like my go-to, which was, again, working, or I was like a freak with I even think about now, I was like a freak with cleaning. So it's just like any way to kind of like distract myself. I was like, I'd like be an absolute clean freak, and like just, but you kind of like justify that because you're just like, this is just how I am. It's just like, no, honey, like it's just a coping mechanism here.
It's okay to stop.
So it's like cleaning, or like just always keeping myself busy. If it wasn't that, then it would be like just scrolling on my phone, or just like wanting to like not think. So just like Netflix and that sort of thing as well. So anything to kind of like avoid actually sitting either in stillness, silence, or having conversations like with my ex-partner at the time, or even like with friends and that sort of thing. Like there wouldn't be a whole lot of depth there. It would be, kind of like roll it all down. This is the surface level shit. Like, I'm all good. Everything's fine. Let's talk about you, or let's like deflect anything away from me. That's so great. So that was definitely my go-to. And I think, for me, I mean, in my journey, as I've kind of touched on if you listen to our earlier episodes, like a whole lot of that kind of came unraveling with like the end of a relationship and divorce and moving away and all that sort of thing. So that forced me to look at a whole lot of stuff, which is kind of like you pull on like one string and then it's just like all this other shit like comes with you too, and you're kind of forced to look at it. But definitely like before that point, within myself, I was feeling really lost, really disconnected, really uncertain, confused in like what I want, what I was actually feeling, and my way, because I didn't have any tools, and I guess because I didn't really have connections at that point, which could help me understand what I was feeling or why I was feeling it, those were my go-tos. My go-to was the unhealthy coping mechanisms and the unhealthy habits, and over-exercising as well. That was a big one too. So it really wasn't like I started kind of learning stuff on my own. Definitely, I guess, you kind of start to become curious about it in certain ways, I think. So then I'd like look at stuff on social media, read books, like listen to podcasts. And then I think just the more things continued to pile on top of each other, the stronger those feelings got, the heavier they got, the harder they were to ignore. Then everything else within life started to pile on top of that as well. So it's like all these ways of coping, you know, your childhood wounds under all of that, life happens, overwhelming situations, stress. And so it's like everything starts to pile on top of it, and then it's like it becomes too much. So you're just like, something's got to change here. I'm literally going to like crack and break. So that was my experience. And then it's like that shifts into the journey of, I guess like tearing down everything you once knew and just being really open-minded, I think, with what you can start to discover about yourself and what you can start to unlearn and then relearn, and surrounding yourself with people, I guess, and educating yourself more, changing your environments was massive as well. And I guess working like with coaches or therapists or starting those conversations, and as daunting as it can feel at times, just knowing that it's okay to like feel a lot in that time of like the duality of it all. And even like the times where you're just like, I don't know about this. Is this like for me? I'm not sure. Like, because there's definitely that period of it as well. So.
That never stops as well. Like you're always going to have those feelings too.
But anyway, fast forward to like now, I guess, with where I'm at in the journey of like ways of coping. I think there's so much more, like we both talk about this, but like there's so much more self-awareness, obviously, as you've discovered more about yourself. But I wouldn't necessarily call it that you get in like these ruts anymore. It's just you have the self-awareness of what comes up. You have the tools in your tool belt to now be able to deal with it. And I guess, again, environment's a big contributor for that, surrounding yourself with the right people, to be able, I guess, to have those conversations where at times you may still, I guess, not be able to see things clearly.
Yeah.
For what, I think
clouded.
Still a little bit clouded in some situations. I think there's a thing you might, it might kind of be like the same wounds that are coming up and things, that you've had to sit with and process. It's just in a different way. So it's like the different way is something you haven't experienced before because of like a new experience or a new situation, but it's the same old wound. So it's like you're experiencing it in a different way. So it's kind of new at the same time. Having conversations with the people helps you realize that when you can't sometimes.
This is an open communication.
Yeah. So it's very different, and it's amazing, I guess, now to be at the point to be able to process things in that way. And I think looking at things with curiosity, instead of judgment as well, is a big piece of that too, because I think I was probably really judgmental of myself for why I was thinking certain things at the beginning of my journey, and feeling certain things. And then now you can understand why, and now it's able to look like, okay, cool, I can see this is coming up for me. I acknowledge like these feelings are there. Why is that? And then just getting curious about why that's actually coming up, like where it's stemming from, and understanding that a whole lot more too. So
putting that pressure on, like I shouldn't be feeling like this, like everything's good, and like kind of adding those stories to it. Like, if you're feeling a certain way, like actually look into it. And it gets a whole lot less scary as well. Like you just it's just, I guess it becomes normal. It becomes normal to like just be like, I'm triggered. Let's sort it.
I guess you have that consciousness about it, which is, it's easy to forget that, where you once started sometimes. And I think a lot of people it's obviously still very new to as well. So yeah, you forget something when it's really easy for you to kind of be like, yep, cool, I'm just going to lean into this. You forget how daunting it is at the start of that as well. So yeah.
And it's still daunting when something actually new
comes
up as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck.
Doesn't feel good still. Like, yeah.
And that's the thing, like you do all this work and it's not so life is easy. It's so you can, like, you're better equipped to cope with different things and handle it and apply like the strategies you've learned. Like life's never going to be like all great. It's just not really reality, is it?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. God, no. Yeah. Well, what about you? What was the start of yours?
My coping strategies were probably pretty similar to yours. Definitely like the partying and going out was one of them, but it wasn't a consistent thing. Like it would go in flows. Like I might do it for a few months or whatnot and then stop for ages. Sometimes I stopped for like a good year or so and then I picked it up again. But like looking back on the pattern now, when I was like feeling down, that's when my partying would like pick up. And then obviously that would then like start the anxious cycle of that it was just like this rat race of everything. And then a lot of avoidance for me, like I would freeze and avoid. So that would look like just like scrolling on my phone for like hours on end. I would always be watching movies, shows. Like I would finish like 2 seasons in a night because I was just like, I'm just like, it was like an addiction thing almost. YouTube, anything to really consume. Food. What else? Exercise, I've never really been one to like overdo it on that. Work, never really overdid on that. I was like, I'll work what I'm supposed to and I'll leave. That kind of happens when you're not like in like a role you're passionate about either. What else was it? Just a lot of avoidance and covering things up with like humor or just
I
still do it. I still do it. And I think, I mean, sometimes you go, it's not bad to have humor as well if you can look at it and be like, I'm joking about this but I'm genuinely serious at the same time.
It's like in me, it's just like somebody goes like, at least my trauma made me funny. But yes, no, that was 100% me too.
Now I still have the humor attached to it, but then I go, I am actually looking into it as well. I'm not just being like, oh yeah, this is a good joke, okay, avoid it and hide it. And then a lot of just being like, I can't surround myself with people, so I would just lock myself in my room, do things alone. Just anything to
isolation aspect
of it. Dark bubble of me. And that purely was just from years of just sort of experiencing things but never allowing myself to feel into it. Like I just, every time I would feel an emotion, I would like push it away, numb it. So I was just completely like disassociated really. It got to the point where like I wasn't really feeling anything. Like things would happen and I'd sit there and be like, that should have evoked some type of emotion in me, but I'm so numb that all I can feel is like just like that weight. Like there'd be no crying, there'd be no nothing. Except when I got drunk, then I'd cry. Awful drunk person.
Comes out in one way or another.
It's got to come out eventually. But I think I've definitely touched on like my mental health journey before. It was never linear. It was like I started like dabbling in the spiritual realms when I was 21. So it's taken me 5 years to get to this point. I would like dip my toe in and then probably be like, oh, this is too much work, or would just fall back on like old coping mechanisms because I wasn't really like, I wasn't working on myself. I was just more like, oh, like you would read things and you'd be like, oh, this is really good, but like, why am I doing it? Like, what's the point behind it? How is it going to like help me unpack everything? To now, like, God, life's so different. And I think something I've been really like mindful of is just not running away from things.
Yeah.
Just feeling into it and not rushing the process either. I think it can be like you can have this like all or nothing approach to mindset and mental health, where it's like I have to fix this right away.
Yeah.
And that might not necessarily be the thing for you, because there might be, your triggers could stem back for years. Like it could be from your childhood, birth, like pre-birth, like whatever it may be.
Of course,
and that you need to allow time for that to unravel naturally. Like you can't go, like some things aren't fixable in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and there's also consistency within that too. It's like nothing you do is going to be a quick Band-Aid fix, and it's just like you stick to it for 1 week and then it's like miraculously you're feeling better. It's like, yeah, sure, you'll feel better for a little bit, but if that's a continuous loop and I guess spiral that you're stuck in, you notice the ebbs and flows, and you know, you'd be feeling really great and then you're at a low point again, and then you're feeling really great because you're sticking to everything. And then when you like fall off the bandwagon, then you're down again. It's just like the pace, you can be as self-aware as you want, but without the action and like the change aspect of it, nothing's actually going to stick, nothing's actually going to change and happen. So it's having that, I guess, accountability aspect with the compassion for when it does come up throughout that too. Consistency, like,
find like, obviously you don't want a day-to-day that's like filled with like 10 things you must do.
No,
like keep it really simple. Like it could just be exercising, whatever, like however that looks for you. Some sort of mindful practice, like that could be journaling, meditation, breath work, like whatever it may be, just like sitting in complete stillness. Yeah. Like just something that enables you to switch off and like connect to yourself, be able to like get those downloads and whatnot. Nutrition's a massive one for me. Yeah. If I'm eating shit, I feel like terrible, and then everything else like sort of falls off, because it's just like your body just is not functioning properly.
Yeah, like, and the basics can get overlooked. So like it's everything that you're consuming, whether it's food, what you're doing for your body, what you're putting in your body, technology, what you're listening to, everything is consumption. So everything is relaying that to your body, or if it's shit you're listening to and you're hearing, it's relaying it to your unconscious mind, even your self-talk. Like everything you're taking in, whether it's like you're absorbing that consciously or unconsciously, that's what's going to reflect into your beliefs and into your behaviors and into your habits. So it's like being so aware and like mindful of what all of that is that you're taking in, because it's like it all has an impact. And sometimes it's just like looking at your basics, like your nutrition. Are you actually moving your body? Like, because if you feel like shit within yourself, then
you're not like you're not going to be able to.
The physical is such a big part of it too. Yeah. So.
And like you've got to be able to move your body, because that's like your body's natural way of like somatically unwinding as well. Yeah. Like I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, I'm talking about this, so I'm doing something, where your body stores so much of the trauma. So you have to allow it to release it somehow. Yeah, well, you've been experiencing that with your breath work a lot, haven't you? Yeah, it's been wild. The last probably 3 sessions I've done, there has been no emotional release. Like a lot of the time you associate like breath work and like you're getting something out of it. You're like, if you're having these big emotional releases, so like if you're crying, screaming, punching, like whatnot. But while yes, that's really good, that means you're releasing something that's not the be all end all. Yep. Like for me in the last few weeks, it's been my body has just completely taken over, and we call it the unwinding, because it's like you're not consciously moving. Your body's literally just doing it. So it might be like arm movements. You might start out by like initially being like, okay, I'm going to move my hips. Yeah. And then eventually like your legs take over, and you I would love to video it and like be like, this is how it can look. Cool. 'Cause in the process of it, like for me, there's been no memories associated with it, but feelings have come up. So you can kind of like feel whether it's areas of like tension, where there's anger, and then you can like associate the switch from being like, oh, like the relief, and then you get like the happiness and the joy, and it just like takes over your body. I've had heaps of like lower back pain and like lots of tension in my hips. That's going.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wild.
On that, definitely need to dive into this a little bit more, but this is very, very vulnerable. But okay, so I've been exploring, I guess, a little bit of that myself. I think we've spoken about this, so I want to do this with the breath work as well. However, something I guess I wasn't aware of, and it's like a big part of that is releasing control as well, because it's just like just allowing your body to take over, or to like feel and associate the feelings with where they're coming up within your body. So cool. But I guess something I experienced is because I guess, a lot of my wounding and like trauma and stuff was around being in control and like protecting myself and having walls up. I guess the energetic component of I wasn't quite aware of that was kind of still within my body, only I guess became aware to me when I guess like Pete and I have like become in a relationship, and because obviously he's just like the most incredible conscious man ever.
Triggering as fuck.
It's triggering as fuck. It is. And so like it's just interesting because there were ways, he made me aware that it's like my body was still holding on to ways of still trying to protect myself, and like a lot of that's been with having like back pain and that sort of things, and like just having so much tension within my back, and like he could feel that like energetically and like physically, like he could feel that. And it was super interesting because he's the first person ever to like I guess be able to pick that up within like my body as well. So for me, I'm just like, it's like I've processed so much of it, but like holding on to it energetically within my body, I was like, there's a lot still there, which I knew in some capacity, but like being called out on it is like, it was so overwhelming because it was like at the start, I was just like, consciously, I was just like, oh, what? Like, but then it's like, then I just felt this emotion called, and it was literally like my body got called out, and it's like, it brought up so much emotion in that moment, and like it was really confronting, and like you feel so exposed, but it's just like I just had to like lean into it in that moment. And then it's interesting because like since that kind of happened, it's still something I'm like processing within my body and working through, but I've noticed it's like the pain's shifted. I notice it comes up and gets more intense sometimes when I'm feeling certain things, or certain things have come up that I'm having to work through. And it's like my body's like gone into this protection mode again, and it's always associated around like situations or feelings around that. And so now being aware of it, I'm like, fuck, like there's a lot still there to like that's like been held on to. So it's like now looking at unraveling that in a different way, as opposed to just I guess like talking about it and all the other stuff we've been doing. Is like that somatic way of like healing now as well, and just I guess tuning in more within my body within that. So
and like that's your body's natural way of saying there's danger or unsafety here, so this is how I'm going to alert you. You need to be able to like pick up on those senses and look at it. And we do a lot of like looking into like the danger, like where you feel safety in your body and where you feel danger. And it's like we call it like pendulation, and it's like in meditation, and you consciously and constantly switching between the two, so you're alerting your body of those signals. So when you are in your day-to-day life, when it pops up, you can go, oh, okay, this feeling, I'm feeling danger, I'm feeling unsafety in some sort of way. What's going on? Instead of just being like, oh, what is that feeling? Like, go away.
And that's the thing. Everything comes back to that safety within yourself, isn't it? So it's been very interesting, but
and it will, like, your body, like, there's so many years of stored stuff. Like, and depending on what you believe, there's like lifetimes of stored stuff as well. So like, it's something's always going to be popping up. It's never going to be, it's never going to stop. But it's like you don't have to attach a story to it either.
No.
Which has been really, it's quite refreshing to be like, oh, I can just feel this and not have to overthink exactly why.
Yeah, get down to the pinpoint.
Yeah, because like sometimes pinpointing something, it can be resourceful sometimes, and other times it's just like replaying like the same trauma loop almost, and you're like not allowing yourself to shift out of it and move on from it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, all of that stuff that has happened, it's never going to go away, but you don't have to relive it all the time.
Well, that's the way, like the situation itself isn't actually relevant. End of the day, it's just the emotion and the feelings that are associated with that is what you're experiencing. So regardless of what the initial cause was, it's just acknowledging the feelings that are there.
Yeah.
And
and you'll probably find in like working with clients, you'll have to like stop them and be like, okay, we've gone over the same story for like the last month. Let's fix this.
Yeah. It's also interesting though, because it's like, it's also looking at it as ways as just like, okay, cool, how is this me, or how is this me in the past? So it's always, I guess in what I've learned, it's always like bringing it back to yourself too, and it's just like, is there something still that I need to learn from this, or it's just a matter of like tuning into what that past version of you needed to know, because everyone's a mirror of you that you're kind of attracting in. So I'm like, okay, cool. Work through more of myself while working through you, which is great.
Never ends.
But yeah, very cool. Very, very cool, the energetics.
Yeah, I'm loving the energetics.
Yeah.
And it's cool to just like, just in my day-to-day walking along, I'll be like, I need to move.
Yeah.
I have this overwhelming feeling to dance at the moment.
I love that. But even like, God, we've real digressed from like the initial getting in the right, haven't we? Like, this is just what happens, so whatever. But even like, as how, just taking it back to like being a woman and like within our feminine energy though too, like how often are we just so, I guess, tense and like you just completely disconnect from that part of you that just like allows movement, and like how nurturing it can be to just let your body move in certain ways, or like just that connection like within little practices you do within yourself. Like everything can be so rigid, so controlled, so I don't know, like tense, and it's just like allow your body to just flow with how it naturally wants to move, and like practices like this are so good for it. And even just like not even getting out of your head and just into your body of what it needs to do.
Into your body. I think as well, like we have become so rigid because it was like taught to us like you can't outwardly be sexual, and everything was sexualized, even if it wasn't something. But like a lot of movement a lot of people go, that's sexual, like don't do that, where it's like, no, that's just how my body wants to move. And in the process of like, your hips, like that stores so much trauma. So like, of course you're going to want to move them. It's not sexual. It's just releasing.
Yeah. I love that. Anyway, back to our, we should get to the original point of our podcast. Rewind.
That's good though.
Good topic. Nevertheless. What were we talking about before? Back to our situations with our coping mechanisms. Right. So we're up to, you're going through yours. So now, how does that look like for you now? It's like, where were we going originally?
I have no idea where I got lost on a tangent. For me now, it really looks like listening to my body and tapping into those like sensations I'm feeling. It does look like staying consistent, like showing up for myself, calling myself out when I need to. I don't really drink anymore. I don't party. There's a lot of people I don't associate with anymore. Because I dislike them as human beings. Just like, it's just life. It's just like an evolution thing. But for me, like my training is huge. The people I surround myself with. Pushing myself out of my comfort zone and just not running away as much as possible. Like I'm not perfect in any means. There's been times in the last this year that I've definitely retreated inwards, but in saying so, I've found out a lot about myself in those inwards periods too.
And it's also, I've spoken about this with a couple of my clients as well, is like you do go through seasons that life just gets a little bit chaotic and a little bit busier, and priorities shift sometimes within that. And while there's a level of, yes, accountability and like discipline in some areas and with that consistency too, there is also a factor of being like adaptive to currently what's going on for you as well. So it's just like, how can you adapt what you still need to do? And I guess like as those like non-negotiable things that you want to set for yourself, how can they be adapted? Because you know that they still make you feel your best. They're still how you want to show up. And, you know, that's ultimately leading to your highest version. So you want to continue to do those things that put you in that place and put you in that, you know, best possible position to do the things and achieve the things you want to do and strive towards your goals and all of that jazz. But it's like, how can you adapt it to that season that you're in? So, you know, realistically, if that's maybe like you have like a set morning routine or a set nighttime routine, and it's just like ideally you want to get your daily dose of like something for your mind, something for your body and something for your spirit. But does that just need to like be a bit more condensed into something smaller so you can still hit them instead of completely falling off of the bandwagon altogether? And I know I won't say her name. However, my beautiful girls, she had this realization because she just had so much going on and she was in such a good place. And then some things shifted and we kind of had a conversation around that. And then it's kind of, she come back around and had these realizations and she's just like, holy shit, like I stopped everything and I've realized how much value and how much they were adding to how I feel throughout the day, and therefore my ability to be able to deal with situations as they come up throughout the day, throughout the weeks as well. So it's like, it's not just how you feel within yourself, it's then your ability to be able to deal and process every situation that comes up around that. So, you know, just be adaptive to that instead of giving yourself absolutely nothing again. So,
a big thing that has really helped me within the last probably month has been scheduling out my weeks like in more in advance as well. So my work schedule's very all over the place. So like doing specific things in certain times of the day doesn't necessarily work. So I look at it like sort of like a week's view and be like, okay, like at what time can I get this in? Which has been really helpful instead of being like, oh, I've got this on tonight, so that means my schedule's going to be thrown out. He's going to that loop of like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get it done. It's like, okay, like where can I get it in the day? Like, there's going to be some sort of time. And like last week I was like, I need at least 15 to 30 minutes of like sunshine nature per day. That's actually not that much. And I was just like, I've scheduled it in every single day where I can fit that in. And gosh, I feel so much better.
Bloody I started doing that this week too, just getting out on my walks again, and it's literally like 10 minutes 15 minutes just to break it up, and it's like fuck, like I feel like a different person this week again.
I left like last night, I like literally left my phone at home. I was like, I just need some space, and I just didn't really trust myself to not like take it out of the car with me or anything, or like even go on it. I was like, I don't want to listen to music in the car. I just want pure silence. So I just left it, and then I was like, I don't care if the moon's gonna be beautiful, I'm not taking a photo of it. It doesn't matter.
Like, take the image in my head.
Like usually you go, oh no, like just in case someone like take a photo or someone messages me, it's like it's an hour. I'm not that important.
No one needs me.
Not that important.
Oh no, I love that.
There's so much though in it. Like coping mechanisms and resourceful ones is so different for everyone. So what works for us isn't going to work for someone else.
Oh shit, no.
We could like preach to the cows come home like how good journaling and meditating is every single day, but like for someone else,
I hate journaling. So fun. However, I will say I also used to say I hated journaling and I couldn't meditate and all these excuses before I'd even actually given it a proper crack. So there's that level of it too. However, there is the level of just like journaling sometimes isn't people. Sometimes you're more of like the verbal person, or like, you know, you'll get more out of like having a conversation with someone, or even like doing voice notes to yourself, like, and just talking out a situation as opposed to writing it. So
I don't do it every day. I might do it a couple times a week. And it depends on if something's going on though. I find it really resourceful. But if I'm going really well right now, like it's not necessary for me. I'll do something else. I might go get my sound bowls out or do some breath work. Like it switches up all the time.
And I think there's no rigid routine with what you have to stick to.
No. And I think that's what people can get really stuck in. It's like this has to be the way. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just a little story.
Little story time today that digressed off in a different direction, but that's so fun. Yeah. No, I love all of that.
We can touch on anything else. We probably went over a lot of it, didn't we?
Yeah. I think ultimately it's, I guess, recapping on all of that is, everything we just said. It's like hopefully give some insight, I guess, to where like we once started within our journey too, and that we're, still navigating a lot of that as we go as well. There's always something new to learn. There's always, something, more information you can take on board. There's always more you can find out about yourself. But I think it's putting yourself in the best possible position for you to achieve the things that you want, and I think to create change if you're on like a self-development journey as well. So because how you do everything, how you're showing up for yourself is going to flow into all aspects of your life, and that is something I will preach until the day I die because it's, you are the foundation for everything. So that's, that's it.
and if you are curious, just like actually lean into it and listen to it. Like that's like your inner being saying, hey, look into this. I think it's going to ignite something in you. Like just give it one crack.
And that could be like, that could feel initially, if you are really disconnected and I guess, used to avoiding and numbing, that little voice is just going to feel like self-doubt a lot of the time, and like that you're just questioning things in your head. However, the more you do and the more you go on and the more you continue to cultivate, I guess, like that self-belief, the stronger you listen to that little voice and that little intuition, because the stronger it gets, because you're not
run from it anymore.
and you're not minimizing it and dismissing it anymore as well. So, when you're completely kind of shut off and numb from that aspect of yourself, it's hard to listen to those internal parts as well. So
you're so used to ignoring them, and then eventually they just kind of like switch off from your like what's the brain that like your day-to-day brain?
Frontal.
Whatever that is.
Something wrong,
like the signals kind of switch off there. But they're still back there.
No. I love that. That was a good chat. Little recap. So hopefully you get something away. Take away from that
hopefully one. A little bit landed there. But if anything does come up as well, like you can always reach out to either like our the Disrupt Instagram or either of our personal and or anyone that aligns with you.
For sure. I guess something we actually haven't spoken about as well is like we can plug ourselves here, because if you guys don't know, like I am a mindset coach. So if anything, you're needing to work through any limiting beliefs or wanting to unpack things unconsciously, negative emotions, that sort of thing, if you're feeling stuck with any of that or just not sure how to navigate anything, please do reach out. Elise is going to be or is a weapon guru, breathwork facilitator, and anything energetic and, wanting to release, that sort of thing.
Release emotions, old stories, memories, whatever it is, but also you don't have to come in with a specific intention either. It's just allowing yourself to release whatever it needs to in that moment. Just having like pure radical love and acceptance of whatever comes up. So if you are interested, what's your Insta?
I really feel like I want to change my name on Instagram, but I'm yet to decide what I want it to be. But G_Ganil.
And mine's just Elise Bradley.
Yeah.
Nice
but
and simple.
you know, we've been on quite the journeys ourselves, and then we've also gone into learning a whole lot of modalities and tools and knowledge on both of our journeys.
Yes.
So we probably don't give ourselves enough credit for how much we do know. So today we're giving ourselves credit for that. So,
okay.
But we're here to, if anyone needs to reach out, if they have any questions or anything at all, we're always here to be an open ear. So
Beautiful.
Much love, guys. See ya.
Bye.